Hello everyone, this is Sri. Now we enter to the new subtopic of paper 3 miscellaneous, that is disaster management, which consists of 18 marks in the written examination. So what is a civil defense? It is a measure adopted by the civilian population, government, local self bodies and voluntary organizations etc. during the war to minimize the effects of enemy action on the men and materials. Defense of the citizen by the citizen is known as the civil defense. There are few measures of the civil defense, that is a protective, preventive, control measure and resortive measure. Protective preventive measure taken before an air raid, control measure immediately after the raid, and resortive method necessary after the air raid. So the organizations at the district level are, there are different organizations: headquarters services, warden services, casualty services, communication services, firefighting services, training services, supply services, rescue services and welfare services. Next, what is a disaster? Disaster is used to denote any odd event or natural or man-made brings about the immense misery to the region and different to cope up with the situation. There are two different kinds of disasters, that is a natural disaster and a man-made disaster. In the natural disaster, we classify them as wind, water, earth. In wind, we see storm, cyclone, tornado and tidal waves. Water, we see floods, cloudbursts, flash floods, excessive rain and droughts. Earth, we can see earthquakes, tsunamis, landslides and volcanic eruptions. These are all the natural disasters. And the man-made disasters are given as accidents, industrial and forest fires. The accidents include road, air, seas, buildings collapse, like in air, aeroplanes, seas, roads, road accidents, industrial, gases leakage, explosions and safety. We know the Bhopal gas tragedy, gas leakage. Bhopal gas tragedy, and the forest fires, deforestation. These are all comes under man-made disasters. Fire, building, coal and oil, and in contamination, food and water and epidemics like food poisoning, water poisoning, epidemics, terrorist activities, ecological. In ecological, we see the pollution, soil degradation, loss of biodiversity, global warming, toxic waste, and nuclear accidents. Warfare, we see conventional and chemical and nuclear warfare. Biological warfare also, which includes the COVID-19. These are all the disasters made naturally and man-made. And in the natural, you'll get wind, water, earth, and in man-made, you'll get accidents, industrial, forest fires, contamination, terrorist activities, ecological, and warfare. So, firefighting. What are the constituents of the fire? Oxygen, heat required to increase the temperature, and the combustion materials are required for the fire. So, firefighting, when we light a flame, is produced during the combustion called as fire. So, there are different kinds of spread. The modes of spread are conduction, convection, radiation, and direct. It is very important. They'll give a sentence like heat or electricity transmitted in difference with the difference in the temperature is known as dash. Conduction, convection, radiation and direct burning. 4 options will be given. You have to mark the option conduction. So what is a conduction? Heat or electricity transmitted when there is a difference in the temperature is known as conduction. Whereas what is convection? Heat transfer process involves the movement of the fluids known as the convection. Radiation, energy travels in the form of waves or particles. We are always exposed to the radiation when we move out. So direct burning is, you can just burn the material. So these are the modes of spreads of firefighting. So fighting with the fire is known as firefighting. There are 3 ways like starvation, cooling and smouldering. Starvation, removal of the fuel combustion materials is known as starvation. Removal of the heat or to lower the temperature is known as cooling, whereas smoothing is choking or restricting the supply of oxygen. By these 3 methods, we can control the fire. Next, we discuss about the equipment required. Fire extinguishers, foam type extinguishers, dry chemical powders, and then CTC, carbon dioxide and dry chemical extinguishers are also present. We use stirrup pumps, buckets, fire beads and hooks. These are all the equipments used for the fire control. So next we come to a very important topic. Definitely 2 to 3 questions will be asked from these full forms. So NDRF means National Disaster Rescue Force, NIDM means National Institute of Disaster Management, and NDMA is National Disaster Management Authority, SDMA is State Disaster Management Authority, DDMA is District Disaster Management Authority. Very important. Here, if you remember, Disaster Management Authority, N for National, S for State, D for District. 3 full forms will be done, and is NDRF is National Disaster Rescue Force is also very important. So what is the role of an NCC cadet during firefighting and in the disaster management? So first we provide the first aid and also assisted in the sanitary department, help in the civil administration, maintaining essential services, assist telecommunication and ambulance assistance and nursing assistant in the hospital. These are all some of the events performed by the NCC cadets during the disaster management.